Are you familiar with that word?
I didn't bring a brief, is that what you're saying? Thank you. I appreciate the debate. Let me close by saying on the impact. Very briefly, you have a sheet that I put out there with the $44.5 million myth. This impact has been generated for 2013. These investments would have to be made in the last 6 months of this year. Sold 1 year later, meaning they would only have a 6-month window to be sold in the last 6 months of 2012. To generate, if you have a very modest assumption of 50% of all capital assets made at that time would return 10%, you would have to have $21 billion invested in Arkansas in the latter 6 months of this year. And half of that would have to be sold at 10% profit in the latter 6 months of 12. Now this is fantasy. $21 billion in the state, well, the state budget is $4.5 billion. So this is not, what is not in debate is over time, there's some range that between PACO and BNA said that over time we would replace the capital gains rate, or capital gains tax revenue of $48 to $60 million with income tax revenue, which is what we need in Arkansas. We must generate more income tax revenue to do the business of the state currently, because now we are at 2007 levels as far as employment goes. We are 35,000 jobs behind where we need to be. Now, the states that have exempted capital gains and outlays, the states with capital gains and job growth since 2009, Texas currently, since 2009, the end of the recession, Texas employment has risen 1.6%. Arkansas has risen 0.5%. And as far as the rhetoric about this being the bridge, everybody has somewhere in their district, Main Street, and some of those businesses are closed. We've heard testimony on other tax bills from around the state. Downtowns have businesses, vacant businesses. Now, if you want to open a business and hire some people there, that requires investment capital. There isn't, you cannot, it's incredible to me that we would have testimony here that says that investment capital is not required to create jobs. That it doesn't matter. It most certainly matters. It absolutely matters. Look at the job creation rates in states surrounding us that don't have this tax. And I will finish up here by saying, my freshman term, I came down here trying to make Arkansas more competitive with an income tax cut. And I ran right into a man named Senator Jim Hill. And Senator Jim Hill shot me down, as only Senator Hill can do.
Gently though, right?
Pardon?
He did it gently.
Oh, well, it was not a
that can be done gently.
And he said to me, if you want, he said, I understand what you're trying to do. If you want the biggest bang for the buck, you need to look at the capital gains rate in Arkansas. And he was the author that moved it down to 30%. Now, capital gains is one of the worst taxes as far as dependability. Last year in 2009, we had $34 million in revenue from capital gains. That's all years, all states, all sources, $34 million. Capital investment in Arkansas that creates jobs is going to be made not by, we hope to have some of these big guys come in here, and so we leave stock in there. But quite frankly, part of the estimate is that this stock trading activity would go on so fast, but the average holdings is a year. Well, that doesn't figure into capital gains. Capital investments have to be much more than that. What this is going to do, one of my Democrat colleagues came to me who stood by us on this bill and said, I went home, I had a meeting with my mayor. We have a man from out of state coming in looking at investing $5 million in my little town. And he said, you mean to tell me that if this bill passes, my investment going forward is going to be exempt from this tax? And the investor. And the mayor said, well, that makes a big difference to me. So in your town, on your street, in your neighborhood, where those businesses are closed, where you see homes that investments could be made and turned into rental property and that be exempt from tax in the future, it's going to make a difference. Now, when we looked at the job creation, all we could do, I'm finishing up, all we could do is go over to Arkansas Economic Development and look at when we had, and you've got this sheet, the Amendment 82 numbers. When we said, what we want to do is lower the threshold for capital investments in Arkansas, and we're going to issue debt, capital, to put into the infrastructure to attract these companies here. So don't think that government in Arkansas is not willing to do that, because, you know, then you get tax credits. If you go to Arkansas Economic Development, the Department of Finance and Administration will be happy to run you an analysis on income tax on the jobs created by the projects that get approved by administration. So there is most definitely a correlation between capital investment and jobs created. And I want to say that the majority of the jobs that we need to create in Arkansas are not going to come from these big businesses. They're going to come from those people on Main Street, in your town, in your neighborhood that's depressed, where somebody has an idea, an entrepreneurial dream. They look at a building that's vacant and say, I think I want to try. I want to try. I want to have capital available to me to make that investment, and they hire 10 people. And that's going to be 60% of your job creation in Arkansas. And if I be small business people, entrepreneurs that do that, you have to have capital to create jobs. You have to have it. This is the best job creation bill that we have in this session. And with that, I would close. I would say just imagine Arkansas taking advantage of its current situation to be prosperous, replace the capital gains tax with increased jobs, and overcome that loss with income tax revenue. Thank you.
You've got to appreciate the vote.